Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I wasn't going to do this story as a video, and yet everybody I mentioned the story to said, "What?" And people would freak out. And I'm like, well, it's a true story. It really happened, and it's one of those things that I think has somehow crossed everyone's mind before. But it's there's not a whole lot to it, except when you hear it, you're going to go, okay, I understand why we're talking about this. Headline, and Robert sent this to me. Thanks a lot, Robert. Headline from the Associated Press: woman rescued after falling in toilet trying to get phone. And we're not talking about a toilet like in a house or a hotel. We're talking about one of those primitive vaults that they often have in state parks or county parks by the side of the road. And, you know, there's a toilet fixture on the top that you would sit on if you're doing certain kinds of business. And, of course, if you were to look down, it's just a big underground vault where everything goes. And she fell into that. So I apologize. If if you don't think this story is interesting, you can stop right now and jump ahead to the next video. I'm sorry. But this happened recently on the Olympic Peninsula up in Washington. And we're talking about a town called Quilcene, an area called Quilcene. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I could be wrong. But a woman who accidentally dropped her cell phone into the hole of an outhouse in the Olympic National Forest and fell in while trying to retrieve it had to be rescued by firefighters. The fire department chief said the woman, who was at the top of Mount Walker, had been using her phone when it fell into the toilet. She then disassembled the toilet seat and used dog leashes to try and get the phone, and eventually used the leashes to tie herself off as she reached in for it. That effort failed, and she then fell into the toilet headfirst. The fire chief says they didn't work very well, and in she went. So she had attempted, apparently, to reach it and then try to grab it with something, and then she thought, oh, it's just out of my reach. Maybe if I tie myself off up here, I can just kind of lower myself in. It didn't work. The woman was alone and tried to get out for 10 or 15 minutes on her own, and then she realized she could call 911 if she could simply locate her phone. So she got her phone and called 911 and had to explain to them her predicament. And frankly, I'm surprised the phone worked, but I guess she didn't fall into a Faraday cage. She fell into a toilet. So responding firefighters handed blocks down to her that she could then stand on to reach a harness they were lowering to her, which they used to pull her out of the vault. The fire department said the woman said she was uninjured. She was washed down, and they strongly encouraged her to seek medical attention after being exposed to that which is down in a vault of that sort. But she said she simply wanted to leave. And I understand that impulse as well. The fire department chief said, I've been doing this for 40 years. That was a first. And I am very familiar with these types of facilities because we have them here in Michigan. Oftentimes, if I drive to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, there's a couple different places I stop along the way that are just out in the middle of nowhere. And there you go. There's a place you can stop. There you go. Speaking of puns. And so I've used these facilities. I'm familiar with them. And I will admit, I've had the thought process where, what if I drop something in there? What if? And I'd like to think of what if situations just as thought exercises. What if I drop something in there? What if my phone fell in? What if my watch fell in? What if my car keys fell in? And in all of those cases, I thought to myself, well, I'd have to learn how to get along without that thing. Now, you might say, Steve, what if you dropped your watch in and it was laying right on top? You could see it. It's just out of reach. Well, at that point, I suppose you could go out and try to find something with which you could reach down there and hook it. And of course, it's got a bracelet on it, right? So you can hook the bracelet and lift it out that way. But a phone would be trickier. But I am willing to bet you that things get dropped in those all the time because those things are in use all across the country. People are using them all the time. People often do go in there wearing jewelry or carrying keys or carrying cell phones. And I bet a lot of that stuff winds up in there. And I bet 99% of it gets abandoned because people look and go, oh, well, that's gone forever. This woman really wanted to get her phone and apparently wanted to do it herself. And there you have it. So they say she partially disassembled the toilet structure. I'm not quite sure if that simply means she removed the seat or she actually removed the whole throne. Don't know. I'm not sure how much you can do that without tools. And I also know a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff in public facilities like that is built with certain kinds of screws and so on that can't be undone with typical tools because they're worried that people are going to mess with them or steal them or whatever. So I'm not sure, but it does say that she partially disassembled something and managed to get herself in a little further before she fell. It also sounds like she was alone, which might be part of the problem. Because as you can imagine, if you were going to try to dangle yourself in there, if you had somebody with you, might say, can you please stand here and hold on to my feet? And whatever you do, don't let me slip in there. But I guess the question is, if you are familiar with these facilities and you dropped something in, okay, the question is, what would you be willing to walk away from? And what would you actually say, no, I'm staying here till I get that back out? And the interesting thing is that what people walk into that facility with quite often is valuable, right? Your wallet, right? If you're a guy, you have a wallet on you. Your car keys, because you drove to get there most likely. Your cell phone, because that's with you everywhere. And these are the kinds of things that could get dropped in there. And like I said, 99% of it, I would just say, oh, too bad. It's like dropping it off a cliff. Just you're, even though you can see it, never going to see it again. That's just how it is. So crazy story, Robert. Thanks for sending it. And again, I apologize to those who don't like to think about these things. But like I said, it happened in Quilcene, which is on the Olympic Peninsula, according to Wikipedia, from the Associated Press. Woman rescued after falling into toilet trying to get phone. And it's not the toilet thing itself, it's what's below that she fell into. And that's the ugly part. So again, scary concept. Questions, comments, put them below those. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Relax. Nothing is under control.